And welcome back to the Warmup Show. And what a thrill it is and an honor today to have one of the Patriot legends, one of the all-time greats, left-handed pitcher in Colin Poche, who's now in his third season with the Tampa Bay Rays and pitched here at DBU back in 2016. He was the Missouri Valley Conference Pitcher of the Year. And Colin, thanks so much for taking some time to join us today.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me on. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're gonna just talk about what's going on with the Rays right now. And boy, they've been one of the big stories in Major League Baseball. You had the 13-0 start. One of only three teams in Major League Baseball history to accomplish that. Of course, the 82 Braves and the 87 Brewers. Now that this team has kind of come down to earth, I guess you'd say a little bit, 16-3 overall. But what a run. How do you put into words what this team has accomplished, the run that you've been on, and a chance just to be a part of Major League Baseball history?
It was truly special. I think at first we kind of didn't realize what was going on, but as you start stacking those wins and you're getting compared to teams from the 1800s, you're doing something pretty unprecedented. So, I mean, it's hard enough just to win series in the major leagues and to sweep a team, but to kind of go out there and sweep, 3 or 4 straight series is truly something special, and it's just really a testament to the talent we have on our team. And everything was kind of clicking. We were pitching well. The bats were real hot, and we were playing good defense, and that's kind of the trademarks of this team. So it's been a fun start for sure.
It's been quite a journey for you through professional baseball, and back on the mound last season after going through Tommy John surgery and rehabilitation. What was that process like for you just to get healthy, and what were the emotions like for you? I can only imagine from not having pitched since the end of the 2019 season to finally getting back on the mound last year.
Rehab process is always pretty strenuous mentally, maybe more so mentally than physically. But once you do get back, you kind of have this new appreciation for everything in the sport. Even little things like going out and playing catch were kind of taken away from you. So there's a lot of stuff you take for granted that when you get back, you're just thrilled to be able to do. So just going through spring training last year and being one of the guys again, as opposed to being on the rehab list and everything was truly special as well. And then, starting the year in the minor leagues is obviously not what I wanted to do, but it was just, another step in that rehab that kind of made it even sweeter when I did get back up to the big league level a couple weeks into the season. And from then on, it's just kind of taking care of business as always. But anytime you miss that amount of time, just getting back on the mound and being able to feel healthy again is a win.
You've always been so dominant with the fastball. I mean, the metrics are off the charts. And but in terms of just your development, as you've gone through professional baseball, the addition of a slider, how big has that pitch been to just kind of adding to your arsenal?
It's been huge, and I think it's something you're never really done working on is kind of your arsenal. We're at a point now where I think the slider is very useful, the one that I have. And once you get to a certain level, you can't, no matter how good a certain pitch is, you can't just rely on one thing. The hitters are too good, and you play the same teams over and over too many times. So guys get familiar with what you have, and it's just for pitching, it's all about maintaining that unpredictability, as we call it, and something that you can throw over the plate for a strike and kind of keep the hitters in between pitches. So the fastball that I have is special, and it is what it is. It's what's gotten me to the big leagues. But I think that development of the slider and being able to trust both pitches in any situation is what is going to, ultimately take me to the levels that I want to be at.
This is as a Rays team that just year in and year out, they're always in the hunt for the playoffs. And you've been a part of this organization now in your third season, essentially within the club for the last 4 years. But for a team that competes unquestionably probably the toughest division in Major League Baseball. You've got the Yankees, the Red Sox. What is it about the Rays that allows them to compete at the highest level and to be a team that's been in the playoffs each of the last 4 years?
Yeah, I think number one is talent. They're so good at identifying talent and building off of guys' talent that they have, and they find talent in places where other teams maybe overlook. And so I think primarily is you're not going to win, a large number of baseball games over a 162 game season without talented players. So I think that's huge. They're really good at maintaining those players, and Another thing is they recognize what each player does well, and they try to put them in the best situation to succeed. For me specifically, they look at my pitch characteristics and arsenal, and what portion of the lineup is that going to have the best amount of success for the other team, and they try to put you in those situations as much as possible. And they do that across the board for hitters. They dive so deep on what we do well and what other teams do and don't do well, and they just match that up really well. It's a ton of smart people, in the coaching staff, behind the scenes. There's so much that goes into it, and they're really pretty much top of the line across the board.
Well, it's obviously early in the Major League Baseball season, but in addition to that 13-0 start, 16-3, you head into a weekend series against the Chicago White Sox. But what kind of sense do you get about this team and how special this year could possibly be?
It feels really special. Obviously we're holding on to health and hoping we can keep all of our big contributors healthy. But it's one of the more talented teams I've been on since I've been here. It's just saying a lot. We've had World Series team, multiple playoff appearances since I've been here, and this team feels talent wise like it's up there, and then just kind of that team chemistry aspect of it feels really strong. We're a team that year to year usually has some turnover in guys. It's not usually the same group of guys rolling out there, but this year we only have maybe one or two new players, so it's kind of a group that knows each other well, and those bonds have been forming for some time now, which is really important.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to visit with Colin Poche, kind of take a trip down memory lane, a look back at that memorable 2016 season that he was a part of. That's coming up next right here on the Warmup Show. Welcome back. We're visiting now with Colin Poche, left-handed pitcher with the Tampa Bay Rays, and Colin pitched at DBU in 2016, was also a part of the team in 2015, a transfer from the University of Arkansas. And Colin, that's really where I'd like to start. The transferring up from Arkansas and arriving here in 15, you redshirted that season, having to sit out with transfer rules. You had the chance to work under one of the elite pitching minds in the game, and Wes Johnson, who went on to coach at the major league level with the Minnesota Twins, and now is at LSU as the pitching coach. But what do you recall about that season? Not being on the mound, but just in terms of your development, how key was that season?
I think that was honestly one of the biggest years of my career. I learned so much from Wes about, I guess what we would call the new age pitching stuff with the TrackMan and just different stuff that, maybe your eyes can't pick up. He was so early on in the process of learning all that stuff, and not being able to play, I basically, was Wes Johnson's shadow that year, and tried to just learn as much as I could from him and observe everything. So I think that was really beneficial. There's still so much that I learned from that year that I still use in my everyday routine and everything. And, I really learned how to work hard that year. I think, I had always had a good work ethic and stuff, but just the culture and everything at DBU just kind of breeds that competitive nature, and they preach working hard. And I truly learned what that meant that year. And it was kind of it's almost a wake up call when you can't pitch for a whole season, and the rest of your career is kind of really unknown. You kind of have to decide if you want to just, throw everything all in and see where it takes you. And I think that year was kind of the year that I decided to do that. So, it's tough to miss a whole season, but I think it was really one of the most beneficial years of my career.
And it paid off, because you become the ace of the staff in 2016, the opening day starter that year, and you held that Friday night role for the entire season. You talk about that just competitive nature. I think it's the thing that stands out about you. I think back on your career, ultimate competitor, supreme confidence, elite stuff. But what was your mindset? Taking the ball on a Friday night, just trying to set the tone for a series. Take us into the mind of a Colin Poche and how you were able to pitch with the confidence that you had.
I think it goes back to 2015, seeing how talented that team was. They won so many games. They we're a host for a regional in Dallas, which is, something I don't think the program had ever done before. And then, fast forward to 2016, and we kind of, we lost a lot of those players. I think we had, 5 or 6 pitchers get drafted. we had a lot of, seniors graduate and move on. And then, Wes Johnson kind of leaves for, I believe, Mississippi State that year, a good opportunity for him and his family. And so it kind of left us, with a lot of young players, not a lot of leadership, and, people kind of questioning not maybe the talent we had on our team, the ability to go out there and win as many games as we did last year and do special things like they did in 2015. I think that was a big motivating thing for me, was just kind of looking around the room, noticing I'm one of the older, maybe more experienced guys, and it's kind of on me to kind of be a leader for this team. And as the Friday night started, you got to go set the tone for the weekend. And I took a lot of pride in that. And that was something I really wanted to do, was, try to go shut out that team on Friday night and just kind of let them know that you don't really have a chance against us this weekend.
A whole lot of winning in 2016. As a team that won both the regular season title in the Missouri Valley Conference, you also won the tournament title that season. When you reflect back on that year, what are some of the big moments and memories that you have from that season?
Definitely the conference championship game in the tournament. Just that whole weekend, kind of, we had to fight back and come back. I think we had a big walk-off winner on a wild pitch and stuff like that. And just like the fight the team had is something that's stuck with me throughout all this time. And I think the farther away I get from it, the more I appreciate someone like Derek Hall and the contributions he made to the team, going out there hitting as many home runs as he did. It seems like he hit a home run every Friday night, which I really appreciated. And then, to go out there on Saturdays and give us, 6, 7, 8 strong innings, it's truly something special. And, you hear a lot about guys like Shohei Ohtani and all these two-way players now, and it just makes it even more special what Derek Hall was able to do that year, and how important he was to our team.
When we look and see what you've done in your career, reaching the big leagues, and now we see Derek there as well. That 1-2 punch was something special. With you on a Friday night, Derek on a Saturday, you talk about him being a two-way guy, and what has that meant to you, as good of friends as you were and competitors on the field, and such a key two pieces to that team in 2016? What has it meant for you to see Derek be able to do what he's done and breaking into the big leagues last year?
It's awesome. I mean, it's truly special for a guy like him. We went to the JUCO route first and ended up at DBU, and you just knew the bat was special. The sound of the ball coming off his bat was just different. He was able to barrel baseballs up pretty regularly. So it's been really cool to see him carry that through the minor leagues and getting his chance at the big league level. And unfortunately, he just had thumb surgery not too long ago, and it's pretty disappointing, because he was going to get a really good chance to get a bunch of at bats and show what he's capable of doing, which I think would be a pretty special opportunity for him.
I think about one of the great memories when I think of you on the mound. The one game that stands out is the 14 strikeout performance against Missouri State. And this is a Missouri State lineup that featured some big time talent. Jake Berger went on to the major leagues with the White Sox. Jeremy Ironman was a high prospect. Spencer Johnson was a big home run hitter. You were absolutely dominant. I think you gave up a couple of runs early in the first inning, but just settled in. What do you recall about that night? The plan that you had against that lineup, and what's it like to pitch in a zone like you were on that Friday?
It's pretty special. That was kind of one of my, I guess, favorite starts. Outside of the 14 strikeouts, anytime you do something like that, it's going to be special. But like you said, the early runs, I remember, the first hitter got on base somehow, and the second guy hit a home run. So, 2 batters into the night, you're down 2-0 against, a really good lineup. And it's easy to kind of get down on yourself early. And at that point, you make the choice to either, go out there and compete and give your team a chance, or just kind of, steer into the skid a little bit. And I think that's one of the starts I'm most proud of, just because I did kind of turn that switch on, and was, after the homer, I struck out the side and just kind of kept rolling from there. And it was probably, the best my stuff has been that night at DBU. There's definitely adrenaline. There were more scouts in the stands and stuff like that, and you could kind of feel the energy in the stadium. And I think I fed off that, and that was huge. I'm sure Derek hit a home run that night to make up the difference, and we were able to hang a pretty good amount of runs on them and get the win that night. So that's definitely one of the starts that sticks out more than others.
So many great teams in the history of this program, and the 16 team is really special. Looking back at that team, you had 15 players that were drafted. Three of you that reached the big leagues yourself, Derek Hall, Seth Elledge also pitching in the major leagues. And you got a number of guys that are getting very close as well. When you just look back on that team and think about the talent level, how special is that group? And do you have an opportunity to keep up with some of those guys?
Yeah, I do. Playing professional baseball, you run into these guys every now and then. When I was with Arizona, obviously we had Camden Duzenak in the organization. I've been able to run into Derek Hall, Jamison Hanna, and stuff. But it's truly special how much talent comes out of this little pocket in Dallas. So many players in pro ball. You follow the teams after you leave, and guys are getting drafted and putting up great years. And then obviously, the guys who come before you. And so there's just such a strong legacy of talent coming through, DBU. And it's truly awesome to see. And it's been really fun to follow their success since I've left.
Well, you're one of the all-time greats and legends to come through the program. And Colin, we appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today before you get ready for the White Sox tonight. Know that we're all pulling for you back here in Dallas.
Awesome. Thank you, Reagan.
You bet. That's Colin Poche. First pitch between DBU and Louisiana Tech is coming up right around the corner.